Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We apologize for the delay, technical issues, as it can happen sometimes, especially from where we are transmitting. In any case, we want to thank you for being here with us today. It's a new episode of the Cradle News Roundup coming to you live. My name is Esteban Carrillo. I am the news editor for the Cradle, and as usual, I'm joined by my colleagues, content creator and writer for the Cradle, Karim Shami, and social media manager and content creator for the Cradle, Sima Itayim. Before we start, as usual, just a quick reminder. Everyone, just as soon as you arrive, hit that like button. If you've been waiting, I know we've kept you waiting for a few minutes. Like I said, some technical difficulties. Make sure that everyone else knows that we are here, we are live, to go over the latest news. So I think we should really start with the Trump's 21-point plan for Gaza, because as we speak right now, Benjamin Netanyahu is set to meet with Donald Trump at the White House. The latest reports, yet again, we can add another one to the pile about how the U.S. is so just exasperated with Netanyahu. Now they have to pull that word out of the pile. Before he was frustrated, before he was angry, before he hung up on Netanyahu, etc. So now it's being portrayed, this meeting, as a make it or break it moment, right? As a take it or leave it, a final chance for Netanyahu to end the genocide in Gaza. We know how all of these previous threats have ended essentially in nothing. But nevertheless, a very important meeting in which this 21-point plan is going to be, Netanyahu is expected to accept it. Arab leaders and leaders from Muslim nations have already accepted it, according to reports last week when they met with Donald Trump. Hamas, Qatar and the Palestinian Authority have given notes on this plan, which we'll go over in a second. And I think, I'm not sure if Hamas has given a response yet, but nope. We know that, like I said, a take it or leave it moment. What exactly is in this plan? Sima, I know you're probably more aware than the rest of us on this.
Okay, before we talk about the plan, it feels like smoke and mirrors again. And no, Hamas hasn't seen it. Nobody sent anything over to Hamas. And it's more of a Gaza takeover plan than a peace plan. And the other thing is, we had this announcement by Trump the other day. It was last night, if I'm not mistaken, about, how there's something great that's going to happen and everyone's on board. And everyone always falls for these announcements, of these great things that are about to happen and these deals that are about to be made. And it's really all up in the air and it doesn't add up. It's this 21-point proposal, supposedly to end the war in Gaza. And I don't know why people still get worked up when Trump comes out with these things. Says, oh, what's it going to be? What's Trump going to say? Oh, it's going to happen this time. So on paper, it promises vaguely like ceasefire, prisoner release, aid reconstruction. Yeah. And even a pathway to Palestinian statehood. We've heard this so many times before. And in reality, this is riddled with vague promises and pro-Israel concessions and dangerous loopholes. So I'm just going to go over these points for our readers. They may or may not. I'm sure some of our viewers have seen the plan and others haven't. So, we have 21. Number one is that Gaza will be terror-free. Who defines terror-free? Israel decides who counts as terrorists. And we have this idea of Israel withdraws. It's this gradual withdrawal, which lets Israel drag out its occupation indefinitely of any points it wants to remain in. So that's, you'd say, points 1, 2, and 3 to sum it up, Yeah. And then you have prisoner exchange, points 4 and 5, where Israel gets its captives back within 48 hours, while Palestinian prisoners are only released afterwards and in controlled numbers. This is unequal sequencing, and it's, of course, designed to prioritize Israeli demands and captive release. Number 6, which is also unclear, I'm summing them up here, is the amnesty for peaceful Qassam Brigades members. Amnesty only if they surrender and accept Israel's terms, and others are pushed into exile, basically. So it's a recipe for basically just the forced expulsion of Gaza's, resistance leadership. Points 7 to 8 are this aid surge and via UN distribution as well. It's unclear, who's monitoring. It's unclear who's paying. And this leaves space for the GHF once again, which has already been criticized as, for how deadly it's been.
We're talking about close to 3,000 Palestinians killed so far, right?
100%.
Yes.
100%. And then number 9, you have transitional government of Palestinian technocrats supervised by U.S.-led international body. So
Tony Blair.
Palestinians don't choose their leadership. Gaza's governance is like outsourced, right, to outsiders. And the PA is sidelined until it reforms under Western expectations, which are not even clear. And then points 10 to 11 are economic development and special zones, like vague promises of jobs and investments with no funding guarantees, like this neoliberal project that's, enriching foreign firms and nothing to do with ordinary Palestinians. Number 12, no one is forced to leave Gaza, but if they want to, they can. So after months of Israeli officials and Trump calling for the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, now this line is thrown in for PR. They don't have to leave, but it's not clear where displaced people will live, while Gaza is being reconstructed, while it's in ruins. It's not specified. Of course, number 13, Hamas is excluded from governance and the tunnels should all be destroyed. I mean, Hamas, again, you guys know this, deeply embedded in Gaza's social and political fabric, and this is just leads to more instability, not less. The points 14 and 15, regional security guarantees and international stabilization force. Which Arab countries will send troops? Would they be seen as collaborators? Yes. This is, what Arab forces are going to be on the ground enforcing Israeli demands. There is no clarity on the mandate. There is no clarity on the time frame. So this doesn't look like a plan to me. It's like it's a salad that's been thrown together for PR. Point 16, Israel promises not to occupy or annex Gaza. After over 100,000 martyrs and wounded, if I'm being as a conservative estimate.
Very conservative.
And majority of the Strip flattened. This is a hollow promise because we've seen how Israel, tends to move into territory.
And we've heard what Israeli leaders have to say about this.
100%. 100%. So, and then point 17, like partial implementation, even if Hamas rejects, and it lets Israel carve Gaza into zones, which is legitimizing this kind of permanent partition under continued occupation. And then this point's great. And point 18, Israel won't attack Qatar. I mean, this is a cynical. Israel had already bombed the Hamas negotiators in Doha, and now the plan, acknowledges Qatar's mediation role. And this is one of these promises that we have here. We've talked about Trump's promises and Israel's promises, and Trump's promises is what he won't let happen again, which always happens again. Number 19, de-radicalization through interfaith dialogue. Imagine that.
Interfaith?
Yes. A code for disciplining Palestinians, basically, to accept defeat. And it's equating Israelis with Palestinians once again. Is interfaith Muslims and, is it Muslims and Jews? Why would, there are no Israelis. There are no settlers in Gaza right now. So what do you mean by
today I
interfaith?
saw like some Catholic leaders come out and say Israel has destroyed the Christian community in Gaza. So what are they talking about, interfaith?
I don't know. I think this is to do with, remember when the UK demanded reforms from the PA that have to do with rewriting Palestinian school books, basically, and taking out, teaching them not to, hate Israel anymore. It's just, two peoples, Muslims and Jews. You guys need to learn how to get along, as if it's like this.
No, and they turned the desert into a garden, too. Don't forget that one.
Right. And of course, there's no parallel clause for Israelis to dismantle settler extremism. We know that. And then Points 20 and 21, this again, it's like back to Oslo, this pathway, to Palestinian statehood, this political horizon, it may find aspiration, it may finally come in place. There's no timeline, there's no guarantees, there's nothing binding. Netanyahu has already rejected it outright, There's no Palestinians. And the extremist finance minister, Bezalel, Jezebel, Beelzebub, whatever, he has already laid out demands that also, like Netanyahu, no Palestinian state, all of that. And Qatar should not be allowed to have, like Israel does not want Qatar to have any role to play. And apparently the US and the Arabs disagree with Israel on that. And the US is discussing Qatar's role in the reconstruction and all of this post-war phase with Qatar. And this is already a no-no, for Israel. So this is a hollow plan, right? Because there's no enforcement mechanisms at all, which means that Israel can ignore any terms, not that we even have concrete terms, but Israel can ignore these terms without consequence. There's vague sequencing. We don't know the order of things, like the releases,
except for the prisoner release, which is the first 48 hours.
Right, that's it. But everything else, we don't know in what order it comes.
Or who's
And
funding it. I want to highlight a few things that happened before I let you go on, Karim, to hear from your thoughts. This plan is being presented at the same time as Netanyahu met over the weekend with Tony Blair and Jared Kushner, the architect of the Abraham Accords and one of the architects of the Iraq War, Tony Blair, in New York, because there's also this other, and we were talking about this earlier, like if they are actually part of the same plan or not, this idea that Tony Blair is going to be the supreme commander, the supreme authority, the supreme leader of Gaza from abroad, from outside, right? They're going to create this authority led by Tony Blair, the war criminal, to lead the authority in Gaza. At the same time, I saw this morning Isaac Herzog, the president of Israel. He gave an interview and he said that there's the possibility to protect Netanyahu from the corruption cases he is facing. There's also there's these things, right, that I feel are really all connected. There's an obvious attempt here to give Netanyahu a parachute, to be like, hey, like, let's put an end to this, because Israel's image abroad, it's a disaster. It's a complete disaster. The polls are showing it. Last week, Quinnipiac poll said that more than 40% of U.S. voters oppose U.S. support for Israel. They no longer think that supporting Israel is in the best interest of the U.S., and that's a huge change from December 2023. We're talking about nearly 20 points difference in this opinion. We know young people are completely turning on Israel. We know that, like, across the West, we've seen the protests, etc. Now you have multiple nations accompanying the flotilla. This thing with the flotilla is very important as well, because the entire world is kind of measuring what is going to be the Israeli response. You have someone like Gustavo Petro at the UN saying we need to vote for, I forget the name of the resolution, but it's a resolution to create a joint army, right? A true coalition of the willing to stop a genocide. And so, it's like coming from all different points now. And it really feels like this 21-point plan is a parachute for Benjamin Netanyahu to, at the very least, get the headlines that said, peace in Gaza. And then, we'll find something to distract the people with the next time Israel decides that they've had enough about peace and they really just want to go and kill all the Palestinians. So having said all that, what do you think, Karim, about this plan?
And first, this is not a first plan that the West come to like pressure the Palestinians with, but it's not. It can't be accomplished without Hamas. So we have to wait and see what Hamas will say. Whatever they say means nothing if Hamas doesn't accept. It's not the first time. First, they wanted to annex Gaza. Then they said they will occupy it. Then they said that we want to displace the Gazans to other regions. And I remembered, I think last year in May also, they said that there's a ceasefire, the war will end, and nothing happened. So we have to see what Hamas will answer to this 21-point proposal. If Hamas accepts, then there's highly likely that the war will end, unless Netanyahu do something and bomb tents and kill doctors, as he did last time when they said that the ceasefire is near. So I think we have to wait to see both sides, because if the 21 point is from Trump, it's not from Netanyahu. And Netanyahu often taught us that he doesn't listen to anybody.
Why would he? Why would he?
Yeah.
well, the thing is, even if Hamas accepts, would Netanyahu? You're saying it's being packaged as like a parachute, and you're right. And Herzog said what he said, and Israeli opposition leader Lapid said the same thing about, it's okay, the safety net, his coalition will remain intact. But, it doesn't look like Netanyahu wants to accept. I'm saying at this point, it's more likely, even with these terms and this vagueness, it's more likely that Hamas accepts than Israel accepts, as far as I'm concerned.
I think the same. I agree with you.
Honestly, even though it's not something that anyone should ever accept. So I understand Karim's point, but I don't see why Israel would accept. At all. And then you were talking about, again, how?
Yeah, but don't forget, Sima, Netanyahu is still in the United States, and he will be with Trump. If Trump wants to announce it, as he did with many leaders. Yani he can announce it or oblige them to do things, although they
Yeah.
say no, even
Do
though
you think
yani,
he's gonna go
from
full Zelensky on Netanyahu?
maybe nobody
I mean,
knows.
if he announces it and corners him, he could. That doesn't mean anything. He could, because he's
Yani,
humiliated Trump before. I mean,
yeah.
and we can have this whole debate now of there's the new Axios reports again with how exasperated and fed up Trump is with, and all the administration is fed up with Bibi supposedly.
This is report
Yeah.
51, 52.
Will
is
he
in
finally
this
put
case.
Bibi in his place? Will he finally force Bibi's hand? It's like, well, does he
Oh,
want to? Because he's the one waging this war as well. I mean, at what degree is he really hands tied? He can't say no to him, or he doesn't want to. Like the promise about not annexing the West Bank, didn't Miriam Adelson give him money for his campaign on the condition that
that
he lets
pledge,
Israel
yes.
annex the West Bank? It's the same thing with Gaza. It's like, why?
It's smoke and mirrors. You called it completely correct, Sima. This is all smokes and mirrors. Let me thank very
unless
quickly
yeah.
Yorkshire Sam for their super chat. They say just to say thank you. You're the only place I can rely on for the truth. Thank you so much. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to share this stream and to subscribe to our channel. What were you going to say, Karim?
No, maybe the CIA made their way to a PC in Tel Aviv and deleted the videos.
Oh man, I'm sure those videos are everywhere now. In all the safe houses. There's something else that is happening in the White House, which makes me think, and like I guess is why I suggested the title of this video. Tomorrow, Pete Hegseth has called for a meeting of all generals and admirals in the U.S. Army and Navy, an urgent meeting called with days in advance with no reason given. Trump, which was the real president of the U.S., Trump has said that he's going to attend this meeting, and they are saying that it's like to review their successes, to review what they've been doing. He said that this is about esprit de corps, which is like, all working together or whatever. I'm not sure if I might be butchering this expression. But they are meeting tomorrow. They are also, overnight, the Wall Street Journal came out with this report that said that the Pentagon is demanding that arms makers double or even quadruple missile production ASAP. This morning, the stock for RTX, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, L3 Harris jumped. This morning, all of their stock jumped. Gold and silver are posting historic prices. War is looming. A new U.S. war is looming. It might be more than one. It might not just be the one war. It might be wars, plural. We know that they've deployed in the Caribbean, that they're threatening war with Venezuela, that they are sending more troops. We know that they are threatening Iran as well. Iran, again, under sanctions from the UN. So what exactly is this 21-point plan meant to do? I feel like it's just a distraction for something bigger that is about to be announced, that is about to break out.
Yeah, everything is possible with such a president like Trump. And we often say that he tries or he wants to do things that previous presidents talked about and never did. For instance, as he bombed Iran, everybody talks against, for instance, Venezuela, but there were no actions taken. Maybe he will take actions against them. And also Taiwan. Don't forget about Taiwan. He might send missiles to Taiwan, and now they are trying to make Philippines as a proxy. They are reinforcing their bases in South Philippines. But unfortunately, I don't think such a meeting is for West Asia, because they already have around 60,000 troops here, and their navy is here. And they might be against Iran, for instance, also. But in our countries, unfortunately, the United States and Israel are doing whatever they can, and the things that they can do, they hand it over to the governments of the Arab world, and they will do it. I think Sima is afraid from the question. She left.
No, she tells me she's having technical issues. Everyone in the chat, we have had very bad technical issues today. Yeah, something is obviously happening.
Yeah, in Lebanon, there's a problem in the internet and in the 4G also, not only in that.
Yes, exactly. So she's trying to reconnect right now. Of course, she wants to join us back. In the meantime, yeah, so, it's inevitable. Like I said, it's obvious that they're about to launch a new war. The peacemaker president who wants the Nobel Peace Prize, right? He's still pushing for that, Donald Trump. he's ready to go. I don't know what the poker expression is. All in. He's ready to go all in to spark some new wars. Uh, I don't know if there's some feedback. I don't know, Sima, if
Yeah,
you have.
Sima.
Yeah, give me a sec. Sorry, guys, it's just a
Yeah.
disaster today. I mean,
Really bad.
Yeah, Sima. So you have to disconnect and reconnect again
all right.
because you have to put the echo cancellation on before reconnecting.
Got it.
They create a live tech support.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
also,
go ahead.
Stefan, I just want to add, we shall not also forget Greenland. They might just send troops to Greenland and annex it from Denmark. That's a very high.
I think every promise that Donald Trump, well, not every promise, but like the war promises he made at the start of this term, I think he's gonna try to go after all of them. And like what's happening, for example, in Ukraine with these drones that are flying into Poland and then into Denmark, it really does feel like there's this desperation for the EU to enter the war directly. Now you have, of course, Iran is just like it's counting down the clock. They must be ready. They must know that the attack is coming. This is
Hopefully.
I mean, they reimpose the sanctions, UN sanctions, EU sanctions. Iran at this point, economically, in terms of the punitive sanctions, has gone back a decade. Remember, there was 10 years ago that they signed the nuclear deal. Hello, Sima. I still hear myself. You join.
Yeah, it's not good. Just you guys go on. Just give me a sec.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know what Iran needs to do now, but it's obvious that they're coming for them.
Yes, sorry, Esteban, I was texting Sima what to do. So, yeah, man, sorry, can you repeat that question?
No, I didn't have a question. I was just saying
Yeah,
that
look, usually when we want to know what is going on in the United States or what is the next step for the United States in their foreign policy, usually we read many things, what their allies want, where they are heading, energy, many things, technology, and resources. That's what usually what usually used to shift or to dictate the foreign policy of the United States. But what it's doing now, the foreign policy of the United States is dictated by Trump, and it's unpredictable. Yani, you're seeing a man who puts himself in high videos and glorifies himself, and he wants to get a Nobel Prize, a peace Nobel Prize for things that nobody know for what. Yani, he claims
just for
that
being himself, just for being
just
himself.
for being himself. So knowing this guy, maybe his last meeting with Putin, according to him, was good. But now he's saying that Putin didn't do what he asked him for, and now Russia will be sanctioned more, and he wants others to add sanctions to Russia, and he might go all in. Maybe he will put troops in Poland more. He will put more troops in Poland. Maybe he will put troops suddenly in Greenland. So this guy is very dangerous currently, and especially now with Netanyahu. If you're seeing a president like the United States, Trump, currently seeing all these people are dying, children are dying from hunger, 24/7 bombings from Israel, and he knows that, and he sees that, and that's what he said. He saw the pictures, he saw the videos, and he knows that he can stop the war in one phone call, and he doesn't, and he didn't. So that means that he's also willing to do the same in other countries, and this is also, as I said, it's very dangerous, and it's not like something new for the United States. Every single president who came did massacres and killed many innocent people, especially in poor countries. And also we have to know that Trump has nothing to lose. He doesn't have another election, and he wants himself to be glorified.
Yeah, that's it. He wants like a golden statue made out of himself. It thinks it's pretty obvious. This is also why I feel like there's not really this interest to hold Netanyahu accountable, right? To hold him accountable for for what he's doing or even pressure him. Really, I don't buy that for 1 second. Like Sima said, this 21-point plan, it's all smoke and mirrors. But yeah, so this thing about the armament, about the spiking, the production of missiles, supposedly is for China. It's supposedly for China, right? It's like because we still want war with China. I'm not so sure about that because I feel like Donald Trump it's more interested at this point of securing the Western Hemisphere. Like he wants all of the American continent for himself. Obviously, Europe, is like goner, and then obviously also West Asia, where they want Israel to become the hegemon. They want Israel to be the commanding power in the region, and Israel in itself is an extension of the U.S. empire. You cannot understand the two as separate entities. They are really one. Sima, now that we have you back, what do you make about the sanctions, the sanctions that have been reimposed on Iran? And do you think that we are just, minutes, maybe hours, away from war on Iran again?
I'm sorry for the difficulties, guys, and I'm sorry that you have to. I hope you guys can hear me.
We can hear you.
Yeah, you're very clear.
Whatever I missed, I'm not sure what I missed, but I think that we're leading up to renewed attacks on both Lebanon and Iran. So that's
just
where,
Iran.
yeah, Lebanon and Iran. That's where my mind is at, especially with the reimposition of sanctions and Iran not budging, on its red lines at all. This is just another escalation. That's what I can see. And I don't know, what you guys were, what conclusion you came to, but it seems to be prepped for that.
No, we were discussing that this is for war for Iran. Now we're seeing live support or live on air. You can see Karim on the other screen.
He's trying to check out we're live, so I can't fix those settings that he's,
Okay, sometimes issues like this just prop up. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone here in the chat for being with us. I know we started very late. We have fewer people than we usually do. If you know anyone who loves this show and missed or late beginning, please let them know that we are here now. What we were discussing with Karim also is the preparedness that Iran may or may not have, right? Like their level of readiness. Today they executed a high-ranking Mossad spy. We've heard for a while now that they may be stockpiling Chinese air defenses. There's also the question of how far, their agreements with Russia, with China, etc., might protect them, or I don't know, give them some sort of support. I feel like this is gonna be, the next stage. If the Gaza genocide was the first step in this push towards total imperial hegemony in West Asia, whatever comes next for Iran is going to be step 2, because I don't think this time is going to be a 12-day war. This is going to be a push to end the Iranian, the Islamic Republic, and to make sure that Israel is uncontested in West Asia.
There's a little, there's a handful of countries that stood against the United States, and now they are feeling that they are losing in their hegemony. And we all know the countries. You have North Korea, you have China, you have Russia, Iran, Cuba, Venezuela. These are the primary countries that are standing against the United States. You have Venezuela. Just not long ago, they started to bomb ships going out of their coasts, and maybe they will increase their attacks, and maybe they might attack Venezuela on their land. And you have Cuba under the sanctions since the 60s, the longest standing sanctions in the world. And you have Russia, it's already into war. And they pushed Russia to go into war 3 years ago. And you have Iran, which was also bombed by Israel. And everybody feels, or there's many leaked information, that it will be bombed again. Yes. Because the first one was not enough. And Grossi last week said that, yes, they still have 60% enrichment, and they are capable of producing
he said days away. He said days away.
Days away. And yesterday, also the Israeli media and officials from Israel, 2 days ago, not yesterday, they said that, yes, we know where the 60% enriched uranium is. So they also hinted this. And you have China, I don't think, I think the time has passed for China. I don't think the United States can do anything to weaken China. They focused in the Middle East a lot, in West Asia against Russia, and they had their internal issues for like almost 2 decades, and now already China is ahead of them. So for me, how they want to tame other countries so they can stay under their wings is to bomb and to show their hegemony again. They can show it currently against Iran and against Venezuela and against Cuba. That's how I see the things. And as I mentioned when Siba was off, maybe in Greenland. So they will say to the Europeans, we are still the boss. You can't find any other way to be advanced or equipped with new sophisticated weapons unless we give it to you. Although the war that happened between India and Pakistan say otherwise.
You know, the U.S. right now is the biggest oil producer in the world. And Donald Trump has doubled down on this reliance on fossil fuels. That was part of his speech at the UN, that climate change is a scam. Your countries are being, you know, it was a deranged speech, like to say the least. Like, this man is completely gone. But this thing, you know, with the tariffs and obviously the sanctions and the preparation for more war, it's also about making sure that developing nations, or just nations in the global south or wherever else, do not look to China. You know, as the U.S. doubles down on fossil fuel and tells their allies, you're either with us or you're against us, China is leading, you know, efforts of reforestation. They have installed more solar panels over the past 6 months than anywhere else in the world. They are moving to green energy. They're leader in electric vehicles. They are reducing carbon emissions. They are, you know, completely on a different level in that sense. At this point, also, they have, you know, Europe lost all of the natural gas from the Nord Stream 2. Now that gas is going to go to China through the Power of Siberia 2, which is a huge development. You have Saudi Arabia just a couple of weeks ago signing this deal with Pakistan for a mutual defense agreement. You have, you know, none of these things are exclusive to the other, right? They're not disconnected events. There's an obvious push to move away from the dollar, move away from U.S. hegemony, move away from reliance on fossil fuels, which now at this point, it's completely connected to being a slave to the United States empire. So they don't have an answer to this besides war, be it economic, be it judicial, you know, using lawfare, or be it just straight up build more missiles because we're going to go bomb some places.
Yeah, 100%. And many people are suffering from this even without them knowing, because here in Lebanon, the media is everywhere, and there's many leaks, and you have many deputies and ministers that talk after they finish their term. So we knew that I think around 6 or 7 years ago, Russia came to Lebanon and offered the Lebanese government a plan for electricity, and also China came and offered a plan for electricity and energy, and the government had to say no. Why? Because the United States didn't accept that, and they gave us empty promises. They gave us empty promises that they will provide for us energy through Egypt and Jordan, and that was like 5 years ago when they talked about this, or 4 years ago. And prior to that, they refused. The Lebanese government refused because they had empty promises from the United States. And just remember, I want people to remember that Lebanon is a very small country, is a poor country, and we have like only 5 or 6 million population. So the United States should not care about such a country, although they do, and they are everywhere here in Lebanon. I know we have Israel in the south, but also these things are pure economic. Yani they want the Lebanese government to go pay General Electric or one of these big companies billions of dollars to get electricity, although Russia and China made a plan which is very cheap for us. That's in energy. And also in military, when the United States came and put their hands in Lebanon, because previously it was France. Now France is like any regular country. They don't have, they are not powerful enough
Yet
to
another
like,
colony, yes.
yeah. So the French handed over Lebanon to the United States, and when the United States came, they forced the army to destroy all Russian weapons. Yani we had like rifles from the 60s or 70s. They don't accept it. You have to destroy it, not sell it or give it to anything. You have to destroy it. You have like RPGs made in the Soviet Union era. You have to destroy them. You have to destroy the launcher and buy from us missiles that cost, or RGB that cost thousands and thousands of dollars. So that's how the United States operates. I gave you a small example from a small country. So imagine what they do to other countries. And we know there's a documentary, anyone can watch it on Al Masira, it's also in English, where they have videos of the American ambassador in Sana'a before Ansarullah took over in 2014 and 2013. There's a video of him sitting with the generals, and they are destroying all the Soviet era missiles and launchers from Yemen, weakening Yemen, and not giving them any weapons. And then after a couple of years, you see Saudi Arabia try to invade Yemen. So that's how they operate, that's how they think. And unfortunately, they do it to small countries, big countries, rich and poor countries. And don't forget the incident that happened in the 80s when the Saudis dared and purchased missiles from China, and China was not that advanced. I think the incident happened between 1985 and 1986. So that's how the hegemony works, and that's how the United States humiliates and dominates the world.
Yeah.
Something I want to hear your guys' thoughts on, in particular Sima, because over the past few days, a few events in Lebanon.
Yeah, I was just going to say before you go, just because he was talking about like in Sana'a when they destroyed, the missiles, that they want to destroy Hezbollah's missiles and not replace them with anything for the army. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to just talk about, because you were talking about France. I mean, Macron now, we have this report that Macron backs a Saudi-hosted conference to equip the Lebanese army for disarming Hezbollah. I don't know if that's what you wanted to bring up.
Yes, actually, yes. And this is completely in line with what Thomas Barak said. We're not going to arm them to fight Israel. We're going to arm them to fight other Lebanese.
Right. Yeah, I mean, guys, on Saturday we had the 1 year since Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah was assassinated. And, a lot has happened in that time. And it seems that even with, Karim comes on here and talks about Hezbollah's strategic mistakes, which I agree, with him on. But at the end of the day, Hezbollah is still a problem and a nuisance, and in the same way that Iran and Yemen are. And that's why I was saying that the next attack will be on Lebanon and Iran, in my view, because they haven't finished with this axis. And remember, Netanyahu said last week that this will be the year of destroying this axis, as if all of what happened last year, wasn't enough. But yeah, so with this, we have, like you said, Barak, essentially, just to remind our viewers, came out during an interview last week and announced that Israel will be disarming Hezbollah on behalf of the Lebanese government because the Lebanese government is incapable of doing so. He announced it. He said, look to Jerusalem across the border. That is who will. So it's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if. So French President Emmanuel Macron announced his support for a Saudi-hosted conference aimed at bolstering the Lebanese armed forces, as it takes on the mission of disarming Hezbollah. And Macron told the UN General Assembly that Lebanon would breathe easier once Hezbollah's weapons were handed over to the Lebanese army. And this is according to Breaking Defense. A French source said that the meeting is expected to take place before the end of 2025, and it will include, again, Gulf Arabs, Europeans, Commonwealth countries, and the US. So France signaled readiness to provide these capabilities, these advanced capabilities, quote unquote. I mean, I want your thoughts on this. Radars and air defense systems. I mean, I don't buy that.
I mean,
do you buy it? Do you buy that? Are they going to give the Lebanese army air defense systems?
I think they're going to give the Lebanese army, enough food for lunch and dinner, and that will be that. I just wanted to say something quickly. Even if they give them, all of this radar technology and, the most advanced missiles and whatever, what good was any of that for Qatar? What good was any of that for Qatar?
100%.
But to be honest, Qatar has more sovereignty more than Lebanon, to be honest.
But that's crazy because Qatar has more, and that's what happened to Qatar.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think
That's
Right,
what I'm
Lebanon
okay.
has
saying.
more sovereignty, and the sovereignty is represented in the resistance.
I mean the government. I'm talking about the
The
government.
government, yeah, in Lebanon is, like paper
يعني
government.
just people to know, maybe Sima can also explain better than me. In Lebanon was in chaos for almost a week because Hezbollah supporters went to Beirut and shed a light on a million-year-old rock. Okay, يعني you
Nawab
for it,
Salam,
yeah.
his mustache almost left his face. He was in so much shock.
100%. So we are in a country, again, sorry to say it again, no electricity, no water, no money. People that had money, their money are stuck in the banks. The internet, as you see today, is terrible and everything is going backwards. Israel occupies 5 points in the south. Israel is bombing or at least killing 2 to 3 Lebanese every day. Nothing from the government, but the government went in chaos. Nawaf Salah, our prime minister, stopped everything that's happening in the government, protesting that these guys went and lighted a rock in Beirut, and he made a meeting. Yeah, and he asked for an emergency meeting with whom? With the Minister of Defense and Minister of Interior to ask them why you didn't stop these guys, and he did nothing against Israel. So
you know
that's
what?
the reality.
Guys, can we just clarify for our viewers? Because I think Karim just said lit a rock. So basically, there was this plan and it went through and they made a whole drama about it for 1 week, for anyone who doesn't know, which is to project the photo of the late Secretary General Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah and as well as Sayyid Hashim Safiuddin on this Rocher rock. Now, what is this rock? It's a landmark, right, in Lebanon. It comes from the French word rocher, if I'm not mistaken, which means rock, and it's considered like considered a landmark called the Pigeons Rock also, and it's these two rock formations that everyone claims is like, symbol of Beirut and all this. But let me just tell you, it's full of trash. Nobody takes care of it. Nobody gives a damn about it. In the past, they have projected the Saudi flag onto that rock, by the way. They have also projected Emirati flag and French flag. But when Hezbollah came and said that it wanted to project, it was part of the week of commemorating his assassination. It wasn't the main event. The main event was in the southern suburb of Beirut. But so when they came out and said that we want to project, these images of our martyrs onto the rock for this specific event, which was like 2 days before the actual date of his assassination, they went crazy. And like Karim said, he called in, the event happened. There were all these threats. Oh, if you do it, this and that, all hell's gonna freeze over and I don't know what. They did it. And then everyone was like, see, Hezbollah. MTV, the Zionist TV channel MTV was like, oh my God, like no sovereignty. The Lebanese government just commit suicide at Roushi because it let Hezbollah do this. Like, it was this whole drama. And the point was, Roushi is not even important to Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah. But it became a challenge, right? It became a challenge to project these images onto this rock because all of a sudden now it's not allowed, it's political, it's this and that. Bombings every day in Lebanon, the prime minister doesn't care. He cancels all his meetings, right? To bring to accountability to those who organized this event and went through with it. And I mean, I was there. We must have been tens of thousands of people. And apparently the government had said, oh, you can't be more than 500 attendees. And you're not allowed to project anything onto the actual rock. You can just gather around there. And they did it anyway, but it's insane.
Let me highlight something else for our listeners. His little meltdown. By the way, Karim, I sent you a video that I want you to put on. I put it on our chat. Salam's meltdown came just a few days after he had another mini meltdown against the Al-Manar correspondent when she asked him about the thousands of violations that Israel has committed. And he's like, I'm not going to comment on every Israeli violation. There's thousands of them. How can I comment on that? And but a week later, he convenes an emergency meeting because somebody displayed a rock of a national hero on,
literally.
on an iconic landmark of Lebanon. What if it had been the picture of Hariri? But what if it had been the
But they
picture
put
of
it-
Gemayel?
Oh yeah, they did. They put a
But-
photo. They put an
They
image
put-
of Said Hassan with Hariri and Saad Hariri's son, and it was like still. It was out. They were outraged. Like it wasn't.
Oh my God, no, it's ridiculous. Karim, the video I sent you, it's that Netanyahu has arrived at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
White House. He has arrived at the White
Yeah,
House.
I wanted to say the talks. I think they started.
So we're about to see, let's see how far he pulls the chair for his boss now. There it is, the President of the United States, greeting the administrator of the White House, the, what would you call him, the butler of the White House. He has arrived.
The video keeper.
The gatekeeper, the guy who keeps all the chandeliers on. Remember when they asked him about Charlie Kirk and he went on about the the rebuilding of the dance hall or some
Yeah.
crap like that. There's something that is on my mind right now, and it's like because there's another topic that I want us to discuss a bit, but I'm gonna go a bit on a different tangents here for a moment. We saw this week that Israel, the Knesset voted to approve the death penalty for Palestinians, for Palestinian detainees accused of terrorism. And we know that terrorism is this very broad term, very, very broad, applies to everyone, break in case of being told the truth. At the same time, the U.S., Donald Trump, he signed last week a new national security directive that is known as NSPM 7 that expands federal powers against what it calls domestic terrorism, right? And this includes before they result in violent acts. Some of these new acts of terrorism for the Trump government are anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration, which I actually don't know what the hell it means, extremism on race, extremism on gender, hostility towards those who hold traditional American views of family. Just the most deranged thing you can imagine. You have ICE agents chasing down people on the streets, disappearing them. You guys must remember Alligator Alcatraz a few months ago. 2/3 of the people who were detained in this prison have gone missing. There's no record of where they are. You have people being sent to Libya, to Sudan, to somewhere else. I forget, somewhere else in Africa. This really does seem like they're going to war against everyone, against any dissent, right? And I feel like this thing that the Knesset passed, this we're going to give the death penalty for terrorism. I mean, look at what they're doing in Gaza with the families that they are trying to get to collaborate, right? They are murdering entire families who refuse to collaborate with the invader, not because they are allies of Hamas, by the way. These families, some of the statements I've seen, they are very anti-Hamas. But they also say, not because of that, we are going to work with the invader, with the entity that is killing thousands and thousands of our children. So, this idea of terrorism, look at what the Lebanese government, this freak out they have over Hassan Nasrallah's face on the rock. Honestly, to me, it's terrifying. It's terrifying because I don't feel we're on the edge anymore of this full fascist persecution state. I feel like we're already in free fall and we need to catch up. So, like I said, I went on a couple of tangents, but in any case, what do you guys make about this situation with the Knesset, with the vote for the death penalty, and what it means, not for the resistance, just for the existence of a Palestinian identity?
Well, I mean, this is the death penalty. It only applies to Palestinians and not settlers who kill Palestinians. Let's be clear about that. Mm-hmm. And they can, if this goes through, I think they need to pass more readings before this becomes law, right? But if it goes through, it's, I mean, what can I say? I mean, what can I say? Because then anybody can be executed for anything. You don't need to have somebody who actually carried out a resistance operation or killed a settler or anything like that. You can execute anyone at any time. But honestly, they already execute whoever they want whenever they want. So we have this happening in the prisons with Palestinian detainees, with or without this law, right? I mean, this makes it concrete, but this is happening not only through medical neglect and torture, but there's deliberate killings happening inside Israeli prisons. So, I mean, there's a lot of conflict over this right now, I mean, internally, So we don't know if it's going to pass or not. But Palestinians are already being executed, with or without this law. What does it mean? I mean, I have no comment. I mean, what do you think? I have no comment. I can't.
I mean, they are trying to stamp out any idea of resistance, not even the actual presence of a resistance force, such as Lebanon with Hezbollah, or that they wanna erase Hamas out of Gaza, out of the West Bank. When I was seeing this thing about Petro, about the Colombian president calling for the UN resolution to build an army to stop the genocide, one of the analysts I was reading was saying, there's a possibility that at the end, like this comes to the UN, right? It's presented at the UN, they call for an emergency meeting, they have to vote, they get 2/3 of the vote. There's a possibility that now, with the Palestinian Authority being recognized as the state of Palestine, that the Palestinian Authority would be the one to put an end to that, to be like, whoa, we don't want any army to come, right? You've already had the Palestinian Authority come out and do everything in its power to make sure that Israel gets its way. So this thing with the killing, making the death penalty mandatory, to me it feels beyond than just like eradicating resistance. It really feels like just eradicating the idea that there ever was a Palestine.
100%. Yeah, I mean, look. So as I said, this was sent to the full parliament for debate, and this specifies executions for those convicted of killings motivated by quote unquote racism or hostility to the public, or aimed at harming the state of Israel and the revival of the Jewish people. So literally, that could mean anything. It could mean anything.
It's a blank check. It's a blank check to kill people.
Yeah.
Not that they need one, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Karim.
Yeah, and also if you want to think like an Israeli, for instance, most of the operations that occurred, and the last one, which is 7 of October, these big operations are for the resistance to get back the people that are in prisons. So now they can just kill them and don't face such a problem again. And don't forget that the whole lie about Israel is the only democratic state and human rights and blah, blah. That's why they didn't have the death penalty. But now they can apply it. Everybody knows who Israel is. If you're and many people are still with Israel, to be honest, and people that are
in the West.
In the West and everywhere, even in the Arab world. Yeah, let's be frank. Yeah, people, there are many people that stand with Israel, whatever it does. Look, also black Americans are with Israel, which is very, very
evangelicals, Christian Zionists.
Yeah. There's many people that are with Israel, not the majority, of course. Now the majority has shifted, but everybody
not enough.
Yeah. Now it's Israel is like an open book. Khalas. You're with it because it is killing Palestinians, not with it because it's a democratic country. So now they can do whatever they want. They can kill them in the prisons. They get a judge to prosecute a person and kill him, and they will face less people that want Palestinians to go out of the prisons because there will be none.
Exactly. I want to thank Clifford Bostria very quickly for their super chat. Thank you so much. It's been a while since we've heard from Clifford. He says, "Go with the cradle, real news, hooray!" Thank you so much. Please hit that like button, everyone who's here. We really want this to continue to grow. We love doing this. We love bringing you this news. We love having the chance to speak about these things without a collar on, without a muzzle on, without a muzzle on.
There's just one more thing I want to say about the reading. I'm sorry, which is that, first of all, Ben Gvir says this law is an urgent need, and the bill was advanced during the Knesset recess. So the committee's legal advisor warned that this could make the vote invalid, and it still faces 3 readings, to be precise, in order to pass. But what I wanted to bring up was it's such a sick society that their concern with this law is that they're worried about what will happen to the captives that are still being held in Gaza. So nothing to do with, they have no concern. That's it. That's all they're worried about, is that if we go through with this, our captives will be in danger, as if they're not already in danger from the bombs you're dropping over their heads. That's it. I mean, it's a really very sick.
I wanna stay on the point you just made. It's a sick society. At this point, Netanyahu is going to be the first. I mean, this Netanyahu government, the one conducting the Holocaust of our era, is going to be the first government since, and maybe you guys will correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going to be the first government since 2019 to finish its term. Now think about that for 1 second. The government of Israel that has been carrying a genocide is going to end its term democratically after 3 successive governments that did not. That, after 1 year, they collapsed.
What does that tell you? Yeah.
What does that tell you? Exactly. He has support for what he's doing in Gaza. We have seen the polls. The polls show you that over 80% of the Israeli population believe there are no innocents in Gaza. We have seen the interviews. We have seen the tour buses, the school tours to to see the bombing of Gaza. We have heard from the settlers, and
also the people that block the aid trucks.
That steal the aid as well. That steal the aid, and relish in it. They have these parties, etc. We have seen the barbecues inside of Gaza, the barbecues that the Israeli soldiers hold, mocking the famine. So, on the one hand is that, and I forgot, I had another point that I wanted to connect it to the support, to the fact that Netanyahu, under these conditions, is going to finish his term in office more likely than not. I fully expect him to end his government before next year's elections, and then there's a possibility that he's just going to get reelected.
Yeah, I believe so. Until something tells me otherwise.
I mean, he's getting offered safety net after safety net, parachute after parachute. There's no intention from any Western government to even hold him accountable. There's no, we have to see what happens with the flotilla. I feel this is going to be a very big test for the Israeli government, for the international community. Right now, the flotilla, the last I heard, they said that they would take about 5 days to reach Gaza's coast. They are being escorted by Navy vessels from Italy, from Spain, I believe from Turkey as well. I know there's some Turkish drones that are also accompanying them. None of these ships are going to intervene if they get attacked. Get that out of your mind. If you guys believe that, that's not going to happen. They've already said we are not here to intervene militarily. We're merely here to, I guess, save anyone who might need saving if that happens. I do not expect them to reach Gaza's coast. I think that would be, a huge defeat for the Israeli government, for the Israeli narrative about what's happening. But, are they going to get raided? We know that Italy, when they send their naval frigates, they said, we actually want them to give us the aid. We want them, to give us the aid, and we'll take it to the port of Ashkelon, where it's going to end up in a settlers' pantry at the end of the day. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about the flotilla or what it might happen.
I just wanted to say one thing, which is that recently this Israeli former commander of the Israeli Navy, actually, who himself was responsible for the murder of at least 9 people aboard the Mavi Marmara, if you remember that, back in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. Was it 2009 or 2010? That flotilla.
2009, right. I think like 12 Turkish people died.
Yeah, but so this guy, which his name is Admiral Eliezer Shiny Marom, he is a former Navy commander, as I said. He is on Channel 15, which is, I-24 News, saying the arrival of the flotilla is a very complex event, and it could definitely end in high friction and in loss of life and property. So I'm just putting that out there.
Don't put it past them. We have seen that they work with complete impunity.
Yeah, we also, it's not the first one. The previous one where there is Thunder, I forgot her name.
Greta.
Greta. They can do the same thing that they did with them. They take them to jail for 1 day and hand them over to.
I think that's going to be the most likely outcome. The only difference now is that you have many more ships. It's not because that time with Greta's, I don't know if it was one. I know it was just a handful if it was more than one.
Yeah.
But now you have like at least a few dozen ships that set sail from Spain. I don't know what the number is of the actual, the number that is headed to Gaza right now. You have European parliamentarians. You have representatives from the Progressive International. You have journalists. You have, it's bigger. than before.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. We'll bring it to you as it happens. I want to thank everyone who joined us today. Apologize again for the technical
Sorry,
difficulties.
guys.
We will hope that it doesn't happen, and if it happens again, we will try to reduce the wait for you guys. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe, to check out our memberships, to check out our Patreon, where you can become a direct supporter of the Cradle. Please support independent journalism. We live and die by your support. So whatever you can give, it's very much welcome. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you, guys.
Goodbye. And also, please don't forget to check our merch. Now it's working. As I said,
Our merch store, yes.
Yeah, we had difficulties inside the EU and the United States, but now we fixed it. So check them, and goodbye. Bye, Sima.
Bye, guys.
Bye.